The longest review we've ever done.
If I was only able to drink one whiskey for the rest of my life, it would be without a doubt Redbreast 12.
I've never compared them together, ever. How have I never compared these two together?
They're both fucking good.
Do you know what I would do? Can I be honest with you?
Blend them together.
Yeah.
I could actually try that now, to be fair.
Should we try a blend? Okay, let's do it. Let me steal some. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
As far as I'm concerned, that is the highest rating I'll ever give.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Craft Whiskey Boys. We're doing two whiskeys today. We're gonna go the Redbreast 12 and the 15. Redbreast 12, Redbreast 15. Why are we doing these, Solly?
Because I bloody love Redbreast,
He loves Redbreast 12.
Love it. I personally think it's better than the Chateau Bleu.
The Chateau Lovo Barton.
I love Green Spot as well, but I personally think this Redbreast 12 is much better than the...
Of all the whiskeys in the world, of the single malts, of the bourbons, the corns, the blends, the ryes, the fucking Canadian whiskeys, Japanese, pot still Irish Redbreast is, I would say, the standout. It's probably the best in the world. It's definitely up there. The 12 specifically, the cheapest one of all of them, I love, he loves. Now, that being said, the reason why we're doing two together is because we've already drank this a heap. I've only probably had this 5 or 6 times, and I don't.
Once for me?
Yeah, once. I don't even remember what it tastes like. I do know what this tastes like, so it's going to be easy to rate this and rate this pretty quickly. So I think that's what we're going to do. Do we know anything about these? Do we want to talk about them? We've already talked about Redbreast on. Here, I got a question for Solly though. We've talked about these on the Redbreast 27 video, so that's all the knowledge you need to know about the Redbreast family, so to speak.
London-based company, went to Dublin.
He loves saying that. London-based company went to Dublin.
But it is an Irish whiskey and pot still is unique to Ireland, so...
Okay, let me ask you a question. Why is it called Redbreast, Solomon?
Because one guy was writing a story about the company that it was, before it was called Redbreast, and he was looking at a cask and it had a robin sat on top of it.
That's not true.
He went to the brand and he said, hey, check this out, there's a robin on your cask there. And they were like, oh, let's call it Redbreast.
I think that's a bullshit story, and I think Solly just literally ad-libbed and made that up. What I'm told is that this one was named it because the chairman at the time of Gilbey's, which owned Redbreast, was an avid bird watcher.
JJ Gilbey's, baby.
We're all bird watchers, I guess. You know, males are all. But he was a bird watcher, and Redbreast was his favorite bird, so he named the whiskey Redbreast.
That might be right, but it also sounds very made up. So.
Wikipedia says so. So, all right. So I'm gonna pour these. Albert, come grab these out me so I don't have to bring both of them, will you please? So, we'll give the 12 to Albert. We're gonna pour some 15 for me. I don't have a lot of this left, I'm gonna be honest. But I have enough to give Solly some.
It's lovely. What a bottle.
There you go. Now, let me ask Solly a question about Redbreast, because he always whinges and goes on about, I love Redbreast. Well, why do you love Redbreast, Sol? Tell me your experience on the 12.
That's a great question, Jay. Honestly, it's a great whiskey with a really, really great price, and it's very complex.
So you're a cheapskate?
No. Let me finish, right? It's super complex in every aspect. On the nose, on the palate. It's got a great finish. It genuinely should not be priced at 50 quid.
No.
It shouldn't be. So it's a whiskey that you can buy for yourself, and it's always going to be good. And also, it's a really good one to introduce people to whiskey with as well. Not only is it a fantastic whiskey in its own right for people that actually, drink a lot of whiskey, but if you're showing someone it, there's no way they're not going to like it, because it's really easy to drink, but it also is very complex. For people that have a more in-depth palate, not to say that I have one of those, but people that know about whiskey and know about tastes and things like that, they'd love it. And also a noob would love it that has no palate at all. So it's just all round an amazing whiskey. And if you add the price tag in as well, it just means if I was only able to drink one whiskey for the rest of my life, buy and drink one, it would be without a doubt Redbreast 12.
Why is it so long since I've tried a Redbreast when it's one of my favorite whiskeys? We've just been trying everything else.
I'll put the 12 in my favorite glass, which is the Turkish tea glass. If you don't have one, get yourself one. Shmoney, money, I got no money.
Solly's rich, don't let him fool you. He's a closet millionaire, and he's got soul. He drives a Saab. We'll put a picture on the screen.
Yeah, Saab I bought for 1,000 pennies. Penny man.
You bought it for 100 quid.
2-minute review, guys, no cuts, no edits.
You guys know the score, let's bring it up and make that shit official. All right, we're on. Let's start with the 12, yeah? We know it, so we can get through it quick. We got 2 minutes to review both, so I'm gonna spend very little on this. Oh, so good.
Fruit. honey, vanilla.
Those sherry spices that come off it.
There's so much.
What's that? I know.
So much.
It's just the creaminess of a pot still is unmistakable. The sherry that comes off the back of this, the oak and the vanilla that are obviously there because of the American oak that it sat in for a period of time as well. Some of it was in sherry, some in oak. The nose is phenomenal. The ethanol is not super high, but it's present enough to make you go, ooh, this is nice. It's not like flat at all.
No ethanol, but that's the Turkish tea glass, baby.
Alper, let me know when we're at a minute. We're gonna move on to the 15.
Spicy, vanilla's there again.
You're still on the 12 or the 15 now?
Yeah, sorry, I was on the 12.
Yeah, no, stay on it, stay on it. Yeah.
Stay on it. It's got a slight hint of licorice on the finish as well, and it's a little bit oily as well.
But the finish is lovely and long. Let's try the 15. What was the ABV on this again? Because I definitely smell way more ethanol on this. What's the ABV in the 15?
On the 15, yeah, it's higher.
What is it?
46, everyone.
Oh, is it? Is that all? But the Redbreast is 40.
40, yeah. 40.
It's nowhere near as good.
It's not as obvious. The nose is nowhere near as good.
It's nowhere near as good.
And definitely more ethanol, but it's probably the tour that I'm using.
It's not, it's not. I'm on the Glencairn as well, maybe, but why don't you pour it into the other? Scull that and
I
pour
can't,
it in.
because I've still got that there. I'm not going to
The ethanol is far too high on the 15. Well, we're doing an extra minute. Thanks, Alba.
Ooh, I think the mouthfeel is just as good, if not a tiny bit better.
Yeah, the mouth feels way better.
But it's not as complex. The mouthfeel is good, but the palate is not as good. It's much more delicate and pleasant in the mouth than the Redbreast 12.
The palate's not bad. The palate reminded me of that Arbalor 16. Not the palate, sorry, the finish. A bit more heat. There's just way higher ethanol, but for 46 to 40, that's not a big difference. 12 to 15 years if they're using similar blends. Far more ethanol on this. Far more. Way better mouthfeel, I agree. Not as good on the palate, not as good on the finish, but it is a nice warming finish.
It's not far behind on the finish.
Yeah, it's a more warming finish.
The finish is to my taste, I'd say, with the slight sort of spicy.
I prefer the finish on the 12. I've never compared them together, ever. How have I never compared these two together?
They're both fucking good. Am I allowed to swear? They're both very nice, yes.
What gets you on the 12 is as you drink it, the nose is so good on the 12 that it carries everything else through, and the nose is not as good on that, so it misses that piece.
Yeah, so I think this is, so 12 is very well-rounded and complex, whereas this one, the 15 is quite bottom-heavy, as in on the nose, there wasn't much going on, and I wasn't that big of a fan. However, it made up for it with the mouthfeel. This is more complex in the palate. It's kind of almost equal for me, but the 12 slightly shades it.
The ethanol's slightly too high for the 15. I'd like to try the 21, knowing if it's the same blend, if that ethanol gets brought down a bit to the 21. I've never tried the 21. Jim Murray gives it rave reviews, like it's close to the most perfect pot still that there ever could be, is what he said. But to me, the most perfect pot still that ever could be is the Redbreast 12 and the Green Spot Chateau Lovo Barton. They're the most perfect pot stills I've ever tried. This one is in the same league. It's not far behind it. The ethanol lets it
What
down.
price does the 15 come in at? Because I think that will obviously give you a different
know.
angle. So it's obviously more expensive because Redbreast 12 is their entry.
Yeah.
It'll always be 12 for me, but this is really, really nice as well. And the mouthfeel in it, the mouthfeel is actually one of the best I've ever had. Best feeling I've ever had.
The oiliness on that mouthfeel is sublime. I'm let down by the back palate, and I'm let down by the nose.
If you've got the money and you want to diversify,
let me ask you a question, Solly. An honest question, and it's the best way to think about this. If you're sitting by the fire, and you want to have a nice whiskey, and they're both sitting on your shelf, and you've had a good night, and it's like that one last whiskey to top off a good night, which one would you pick?
I'm always going to pick the Redbreast.
No, but not just for favoritism.
I think for me to go to this one, it would have to be a specific set.
Do you know what I would do? Can I be honest with you?
Blend them together.
Yeah, I'd probably have 2/3 Redbreast 12 and 1/3 of that, because that's more complex and that's got higher. There is a lot more going on here, and that's an easier drinker, but that's a perfectly balanced.
I could actually try that now, to be fair.
You gonna blend them? Should we try a blend?
I could try that.
Okay, let's do it. Let me steal
I've
some.
already got, I could just put a little bit of that in there and it would be 2/3 to 1/3.
All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blend a bit of the 12, more of the 12 than I am of the 15, because I'm interested to see, this is more complex and a better mouthfeel, but it is too high in the ethanol. This is lower on the ethanol scale, easier drinking, more palatable, a lot more going on, but I think if 2/3 of this and 1/3 of this could be an interesting little doozy.
I've already smelt it.
How do you think?
It smells amazing.
Oh, really? Are we gonna rate the blend? Are we gonna rate the 12 and the 15?
No, it wouldn't be fair because people can't buy it.
They can buy both bottles and do the same thing that we're doing. 2/3 and 1/3. Okay, so the ethanol is slightly lower, but it's still a kick of ethanol because that is just so high in ethanol.
I am even getting ethanol on the Turkish tea glass, which you don't normally get a lot of.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That is a fucking fine whiskey.
It adds a bit of spiciness that the Redbreast 12 lacks normally, which is great because I love spice.
Yeah, it brings it all together. The nose is better than both. The mouthfeel takes it from this and this is as good as both. The finish is not lacking. It's just maybe we could play with the blend a bit more to get that finish really strong, and it could be a 9 whiskey. The blend of them two could be a 9. It's time to rate the Redbreast 12, the 15, and the little blend that we made. The little blend that we made was basically 2/3 of the 12 of the parts that we liked of that, because it's a stronger whiskey in our opinion than this one. But this one has a great mouthfeel, it has a decent finish. It's just the ethanol's a bit high, the ethanol's lower on this one, but it has way more going on. So 2/3 this, 1/3 that is the blend. Solly, what are we thinking on the 12? Let's rate that first.
It is the best all-round whiskey there is in all markets. So for me, I'm going to rate the Redbreast 12 an 8.6. And as far as I'm concerned, that is the highest rating I'll ever give. And I can't wait for the day that I find one that I'll rate higher, because it means I found a whiskey that I love more than the Redbreast 12.
That's a fair comment.
But I must say that I always include the pricing in it as well, because it is literally, if you want to find a fantastic whiskey and you can't afford to spend hundreds of pounds.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me stop you there and ask you a question. If you had a situation where you got to include both, given that it's so affordable and so amazing, it has to be in the 9s when you include price into the matrix. But we're not including price into the matrix. But would you put it in a 9 category? Just as a question.
If I compared all 3 and took price out of it, I would still rate the 12 higher than the other 2.
There is 3.
I've had a few.
All right, so what's he? 8 point what?
6. The highest rating I'll ever give.
Where I'm at on the Redbreast 12, I'm at an 8.5 on the Redbreast 12. I think it's better than the 8. I think it's better than the 27, which I think was at 8.4, 8.3. 8.5 for the Redbreast 12. All right, guys. So Solly scored it at 8.6. I've scored it at 8.5, which would be 8.55, but you would always round up to the highest number. So it's an 8.6, which is the highest score we've ever given to date for a whiskey.
And once again, I gave it that score and no one else did.
I give it an 8.5.
Yeah, but I go 8.6.
Because you love it so much.
That's what it is.
Maybe he's a secret ambassador for Redbreast.
Maybe I'm not, maybe I am. Maybe go fuck yourself.
All right, Redbreast 15, champ. Where are we at?
I actually prefer the Redbreast 15 to the 27 that we've had recently, which,
I do too.
From what I've heard, is going to be introduced as a permanent fixture to their range. And I love all of the Redbreasts, but there's no point in spending the amount on the 27 that it is if you can get these guys, which are really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice.
So true.
So for this, for the 15, it's an 8.3.
8.3 in the 15. Yeah, I'm a bit lower. I didn't like how high the ethanol was on the 15. I'm at 7.8 on the 15. I think it's a fair score. The longest review we've ever done.
The blend was great.
Okay, what do you rate it?
Yeah, 8.4.
That's a good score.
I really liked it.
On the blend, I'm slightly higher. On the blend, I'm 8.8. It's the highest, that's the best whiskey I've ever tried. The mix of them two together, because you took out the bad of that and you added some of the good of this, I'm at 8.8. What's the score, Alps? 8.6 for the blend, but it's non-existent. You have to buy both bottles.
Yeah, but you can't buy it.
We just did the longest review that we've ever done in history. We did the Redbreast 12. We also did Redbreast 15. Actually, they're opposite, 12 and 15. And then what we did is we did a blend of the two of them together.
Which was off the cuff, by the way.
It was
we did
phenomenal.
not plan to do that.
2/3 12, 1/3 15. And I tell you what, these, if you've never tried these whiskeys and this is your first time watching who we are and you're used to drinking bourbon, you're used to drinking all these scotch. So if you haven't tried these two, these are some of the best pot stills in the world. You have to try them. They're the highest score we've ever given them. That's it. Bottom line, these are the highest scores we've ever given.
If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe and like and comment below if you think Jay's a knobhead.
Wow. So he gets all that distance away and then he starts getting brave. You know, come stand over here, son. Let's see how you start talking, mate.
Next review, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. It's just me and Jay here. We've been here for like 6 days. We've got full creative control. We're in control of the cameras.
I love scotch.
I love Redbreast. It's a bloody good whiskey. Now, if you haven't ever had it before, go and fucking buy some.